Go Brownies podcast. I'm your host, Allie Heisong, coming at you live from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Joined with me is my wonderful co-host out there in Boise, Idaho, Dustin. How you doing, man?
Allie, I've had a great week. How about yourself? Sounds like you had a little hectic week, but
Hanging in
we're here
there.
again for another Tuesday night. We survived another week of work, right?
We're getting through it. It's crazy. I know we've got a lot going on in the world. So guys, before we get into the show, before we even get started and telling you what's going on, I want to let you know here at the Here We Go Brownies podcast, we are obviously very sensitive to what's going on out there in the world. And we send our strength, prayers, and everything that we can to those that are impacted by all that's going on. You know, we stand with you and, you know, normally we like to have a lot of fun on the show, but I don't think that's an appropriate tone for tonight. We have to acknowledge what's going on. It's a sad time right now, Dustin.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, our nation struggled not only with the COVID-19 and with everything that's going on with, you know, that horrible thing in Minneapolis. I don't even want to mention his name, but the police officer, but just, you know, just prayers to, you know, George Floyd's family, I just, you know, prayers to his family. I know they're hurting, they're going to be healing. And we just know that, you know, we need to come together as a nation. And, you know, I think we'll be a stronger nation because of this and for the information that actually is coming out. And actually, you know, we're going to learn a lot more. And obviously, I just want to pray. And, you know, our nation needs a lot of healing right now. So.
We do. We just need to come together and be the United States of America. That's what we need to do. So we would be remiss if we didn't mention that, guys. I know that this is not a political show, but we have a platform here, and it is our responsibility to speak on that and to send our prayers, our positivity, and all that we can do here at the Here We Go Brownies podcast to do what we can here. But outside of that, Dustin, I know we've got a lot to get to tonight.
But
go ahead.
We got to have some fun because that's why people get on. That's why people watch us. So with that said, folks, thanks for submitting. We love that you guys submit stuff to us every week. It gets us jacked for, you know, putting stuff together in packages and sending out to you guys. We love that. So I think Allie is going to reveal, we're going to give away 2 prizes tonight, but I think Allie is going to reveal our second place prize. And then I will reveal our first place prize.
Absolutely, guys. If you recall from last show, we had a contest. We asked you guys to submit your most unique story on how you became a Browns fan. So we were able to receive a lot of feedback from our guests, from our listeners, from everybody that interacts with the Here We Go Brownies podcast. We got 2 winners that we want to highlight tonight that I think are really unique and are a really cool story on how people became Browns fans. And as you know,
and we're going to share that story now with them.
We are. And this is the show by the fans for the fans. So our second place winner tonight is, I'm getting the story pulled up here in front of me. This is Richard Householder. He's a great friend of the program. Richard, thank you for always joining us and sending your positivity. You are one of our winners tonight. I'm going to read you his quick story. He says that when he was 5 years old, he started watching football. He had a brother and he had a sister. His brother was a Browns fan and his sister was a Steelers fan.
Of course you were.
Of course. And he said, you know what? I'm going to watch a Browns versus Steelers game, and whoever wins that game is who I'm going to become a fan of. And by the grace of God, the Browns won the game. Yeah, so well, Richard is now, when he was 5 years old, he became a Browns fan because he kind of had an ultimatum there, you know, with his brother and with his sister.
So, Allie, quick question. Do we know how old he is now?
You know what? I don't. I know he's a grown man.
Because he's probably watched a lot of Browns games where they lost to the Steelers since then.
Oh, I'm sure. This is one of the few times. This is one of the few times. So that's how he became a Browns fan. So
that's cool.
He wouldn't regret it at all. Go Browns. So Richard, thank you for participating in our contest. You are a proud winner this week. And I know, Dustin, we've got another.
Yeah, and do you want to tell him what he's going to be winning? I think you got some Browns books and
cool stuff. You got some cool Browns swag coming away, maybe a book, maybe some swag, some koozies. You got some cool stuff coming your way, Richard.
All right, and for our grand prize winner, our first place winner, Terry Bogus, I don't want to butcher your name by any means, but Terry gave us a wonderful, wonderful story. She goes, my greatest moment of all time was when the Browns were in the 1960s and I was attending the 1964 NFL championship game against the Baltimore Colts. Our family had season tickets with 8 box seats. Boy, that had to be nice. About the 35-yard line. We had guests that were Colts fans in town. And if I recall correctly, the Browns were major underdogs. She was correct. We were convincingly and was such a thrill for the 13-year-old teenager girl that I was. Oh, and did I mention this was my Christmas present? How great is that? So Terry, I get to show you what you win because our wonderful gal over at McGrew Designs takes care of us. She loves us. And she has made us some custom mugs. And so you get, look at this, a custom made dog pound mug. Look with the B, it's a Pilsner mug. How cool is that? Allie hasn't even seen this, but they're metal inside, way cool stuff. And then, of course, every friend has another friend to make a Browns fan. We're sending you 2 dog pound koozies to go with that. So, Allie, I do have something to show you. Again, McGrew Designs, we love them. Yep. We're pimping them out tonight. That's what we do. But look at this. They made an Allie mug right there.
I love it.
If you can see it. Yep. And then a Dustin mug. So they made us 2 custom mugs. Super cool.
Dustin, what are you going to put in that? What are you going to drink? What's the first thing you're going to drink out of that?
Probably a beer.
You know what I'm going to drink? A Miller Lite.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Allie Miller High Song.
I love it.
Dustin. Okay, so those are our great winners. Thank you guys for participating as always. We will connect with you offline to get your contact information, get some stuff sent out to you. Dustin, we've got a fun packed show for you.
We have a surprise for people tonight. We have a guest.
Surprise.
That can also, he has a great story to tell. He can also be very in tune that's in the world, what's going on right now as well. So obviously we encourage people to send the comments through Allie's Facebook. Any questions you may want to ask. He's going to join us via Zoom call here in about 5 to 10 minutes, maybe less. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to jump on and ask him questions, submit those through the Facebook. Allie's monitoring that if you have questions. So Allie, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who we have on tonight?
We've got our guy, HazMatt, as you know, DJ HazMatt. He is from 93.1 WZAK Cleveland in Columbus, the sister station down there. He is a Cleveland radio DJ who is a huge Browns fan. He's got a great story for you guys. And he is in Cleveland, with all that's going on in the world. So he's going to bring some great perspective to the show. We are so excited to have him on as an exclusive live interview. Yeah. So guys, as you know, this is a live show. We're purely live right now. He's going to join in here in the next couple minutes. So we're really looking forward to that and have him break down the Browns roster, the Browns season ahead, and really what he is anticipating for the Cleveland Browns in 2020.
Nice.
I know. I'm excited. This is
so
great.
Allie, so with that said, let's talk a little bit about what we're kind of hearing in the buzz out there from the Browns. I know we left our last show with, is Clowney going to sign? Well, we clearly know that's, I think
that was one of our friends of the program.
I think we were being a little, I don't know, baited, I guess might be the right word. We might have been a little baited, but you were quick not to take the bait and say, I don't see so-and-so Mary Kay or anyone confirming this out of Cleveland. So, hey, you know what? He may just be waiting to get the most money. But what are you hearing out there in the sports world? It sounds like you had your our quarterback Baker Mayfield was hanging out at his cousin's wedding down there in your neck of the woods, and you didn't even know. I'm like, Allie, come on, you gotta.
So Dustin, literally 5 minutes ago, Dustin was like, "Hey, I hear you're hanging out with Baker Mayfield." I was like, "What are you talking about?" So I guess Baker Mayfield's down here in South Carolina, where
he was there on Memorial Day. He was there on Memorial Day, and it was his cousins. So if any of you Browns fans want to look out there, it shows him cutting a rug at his cousin's wedding on TMZ. Somebody got footage of it, so it's pretty funny. But
leave it to 6.
He can dance, so let's be honest. Baker can dance.
He's got some moves. The cool thing about it is, guys, there's a lot of rumors going around. This is that kind of crazy time of the year, silly season, and of course, all that is happening, coronavirus, the delayed season with the NBA, everything that's going on. The sports information in the sports world has almost come to a complete stop. The content is to a minimum. So there's a lot of rumors floating around. And of course, we got baited last week with Jadeveon Clowney. And just kind of to touch on that with Jadeveon Clowney, I think, in all honesty, he's going to wait it out. It's in his best interest to wait this out. I think we saw this last year with Gerald McCoy. We don't know what's going on. he doesn't really know, maybe he received a high offer from the Browns. Maybe it's not exactly the price point that he wanted.
Right.
But at this point, we don't have a clear-cut answer on what's going on this season, what's going to happen with training camp, or if they can even access facilities. If I'm Jadeveon Clowney, I'm going to hang out, not go to training camp, and then wait till later on in the season when the demand might be a little higher with potential injuries.
Yeah, like you could go in like the second or third preseason game they sign him, right? He kind of waits it out, and he doesn't take the risk of getting injured, which would only be to his benefit. I do think there's a little bit of a song and dance going on with him. Like, as you heard, he wants to, the Cleveland is more interested in a multiple year with him. They don't want a 1 year rental because, I mean, if you think about it, if he stays healthy and they anchor him on that other side of the line for 2 or 3 years, that's really solidifies your entire or your defensive line for a while, right? So, but I think he may, he's looking for a 1 year big deal and then going for that, as they call it, that last cash out before he retires kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell you this. How about we ask our new guest, HazMatt? He's ready to join the program. We're going to let him on. Dustin, why don't you give him a great introduction here? We are joined with our good friend HazMatt out of 93.1 WZAK Cleveland. He is joining the program live on the show. So we're going to give him a minute.
Looks like he's connecting in right now. Yeah, he's getting his audio and all that set up. So. He's going to be joining us from his man cave, or his Browns cave, by the way.
Well, we are so excited to have him on. Dustin, as soon as we get rolling and we get him on here, we're going to have you do a little intro for him, if you don't mind, because I know you know all the ins and outs of what's going on with him.
Yeah. Hey, Haz, are you there yet?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Do you want to join us via video, or you just want to go with the voice tonight?
There he
is.
I can't see you. Hold on. I'm like, I got you all up in a small corner. I don't know how you got up here. I'm trying to get you back on the full screen. I had you.
You head up to the top and you go. Gallery view.
You got us all on the view now?
I got you, but let me put it so all three of us, because y'all are just on the top.
Okay.
How do you make it like so everybody's in there at the same time?
Right. You have to just adjust your settings a little bit.
There it is. Now I got you.
There we go.
I'm looking up because I have a big screen on the wall. So I'm gonna look down here on my laptop.
Well, Haz, obviously you are on 93.1 in Cleveland on Friday and Saturday nights, and then 95.5 in Columbus. So first of all, thank you for taking the time. I know you've got a lot on your plate in Cleveland. And I would not be remiss if I don't say that you're on the nationally syndicated show Dish Nation as well. That's pretty cool, a nationally syndicated show. So we're actually just happy to have you. We're excited to. So I'll kick it off, Allie, if you're all right with that.
Before Dustin.
Tell us, you shared a little offline. We spoke, I think, on Sunday, and you had just been turned from DJ to news announcer for 5 hours there in Cleveland with everything going on. But just share for our audience, because we just got done, as you saw, with the contest, telling people what made them a Browns fan. And I know you have a very, very unique story of your life of Maryland and in Ohio. So just share with our listeners kind of how you became a Browns fan, how that all kind of transitioned, and how you kind of live to this day of being a Browns fan.
Well, I was born in Havertide Grace, Maryland, which is Harford County, Maryland, which is a little north of Baltimore. But when I was 3 years old, my father moved us here to Cleveland, where his family is from. So I grew up on the west side of Cleveland, and I was introduced to the Browns when I was like 7 or 8 years old, back when Brian Sipe was still playing, and they were wearing the orange pants. So that was the team, So I just
Cardiac kids.
Right. Just started following the team, Sam Ritigliano and all them. I was pretty young, but by the time I was like, 15, 16 years old, that's when the Browns were going to the AFC championships, playing against Denver, the drive, the fumble. I was in high school during those years, what I mean? So,
that's tough on a kid. That's tough on a kid.
Yeah, man. But right after I graduated high school, I ended up moving to Maryland, where my mother's family is, and I ended up living there for quite some time. So in the mid 90s, of course, I was living there when the Browns left Cleveland and came to Baltimore, where I was living at the time. So it was weird, what I mean? So
that is weird.
I didn't necessarily feel the loss like everybody did, because I wasn't in the city without the team, because the team had moved to where I was at.
Right.
But it was weird because they were going to be the Baltimore Browns at first. They even had like merchandise in the stores.
Yeah.
And I should have bought one of those T-shirts.
To be a collector's item now.
Baltimore Browns T-shirt probably represents me to the fullest. But
right.
But I spent a lot of years there, and of course, a lot of my family, once the Ravens got there, they became Ravens Nation. And
oh, sure.
gave it a shot. Here's an interesting story. When the Ravens won their first Super Bowl, now I had started working in radio in Baltimore in '99.
Yeah, you were telling me that, yeah.
Right. And then, you know, that was the year that the Ravens went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And I was on the radio when they won. We had the #1 station in the city that time, 92Q Jams in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the first voice on the radio immediately after the game.
Oh, wow.
So I had to turn up with the city. I had to let people get on, and we had to rock out because the Ravens had just won the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, I mean, for me, it was a cool experience because the city had just won a Super Bowl. I never experienced what that was like. You know what I'm saying? And to be in the midst of all of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Well,
for the Baltimore radio station, so I couldn't be on there like, yeah, forget y'all, Cleveland. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I had to, you know,
well, and to your point, a lot of those players were former Browns. I mean, they hadn't shuffled the roster too much in 3 or 4 years. So those were a lot of same players.
Yeah, but it just was different when they came with that logo.
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens. I was just like, all right, I'm sticking with the Browns. They said the Browns are coming back. So when the Browns get back, that's going to be my team. You know what I mean? It's like, I only got to wait a few years.
Yep.
You know, but
so true story. I didn't watch football. I hated the NFL for like 3 years. I just was like, I'm not going to watch football. I'm like, I hate this. And then what was interesting, it was like, you know, and so for me, it was a bitter pill, right? So I'm like, really? You just took our team and now you've won a Super Bowl. Like it's like a double insult, right? Like it's a double insult.
And the other insulting part of it is to live amongst them.
Right.
And then hear how they, you know, once Cleveland came back, how they had like a whole lot of greasy talk for Cleveland. I'm like, wait a minute, hold up. Like y'all my family and everything, but y'all ain't gonna be dogging my team. You know what I'm saying? When they first came and they was still at Memorial Stadium before they tore that down and got M&T, I went to a preseason game just to hate on them one time. Like they were playing the Giants, and this was before they stopped letting you buy beers all the way through the fourth quarter. So by the fourth quarter, I was that belligerent. And somebody threw a cup at me or something. And that's when I found out that they have jail cells in the bottom of the stadium.
Philadelphia does too. Philadelphia does too.
I think they all do because people get a little belligerent, and that's when I changed my tone when I go to live games. I'm like, that's never going to happen to me again.
I think they call it the holding. They call those the holding tanks. Like you're going to stay right here till. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was terrible. It was terrible. But I brought it on myself, being belligerent and doing too much.
But that just shows you how passionate you were and how much it was in your blood. Yeah. I mean, like growing up as a kid, you know, like.
And I like all of my family. Like I have 2 grown children who were both born in Baltimore. My oldest son is a Ravens fan.
Oh.
And so that gets interesting. You know what I'm saying?
That was going to be my next question to you. What is it like in this current day and age, you know, with your family and your friends, I'm sure? What's it like for you to be able to balance those 2 things?
Man, it's rough. Football season. We get to going at it. You know what I mean? Like I got cousins that want to come out here and go to the games because I'm a season ticket. They want us to go. I've gone to the games out there. Oh, you know what I mean? With my colors on. So, you know.
What a dynamic. What a dynamic.
My Browns, man. It's like, but for them to be like, yeah, we took your team and we won a Super Bowl and y'all suck. I'm like, whoa. Calm down. It was the Ravens fans that gave me the most grief when I put that Ravens song out when we beat the crap out of them last year.
That Ravens song was epic. I loved that. Well, so were you at that game? Did you travel for that week 5 game? I think that would have been, or week 4.
Nah, I wasn't there. I wasn't there for that game. Yeah, I'm a season ticket holder here, but I didn't.
Yeah, we were talking about it,
The last Raven game I went to, Cody Kessler was the quarterback.
Was that 2017? 2018.
Yeah, we were there. I was there for that. I took my son, the Raven fan. I surprised him, and me and a cousin of mine drove all the way to Baltimore. He didn't know I was coming.
Very cool.
Showed up. We had tickets to the game. I took him to the game, and
Nice.
because it was a night game. Yeah, and I think we left immediately after that game because we lost. We was mad. We drove all the way back to Cleveland immediately. Like, I'm out.
Except your son was jumping up and down in the car, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
love you, son, but I gotta go. See you later. But he lives here now.
Oh, okay.
Raven
That's
fan
such a
lives
cool
here
story.
now. So,
Fair enough.
Yes.
but he says he has love for the Browns, but I can
Yeah.
tell when we're watching the game who he's most passionate about.
How's that for you? Is that hard for you as a parent to let your kid be a Ravens fan?
Not really.
No.
Nah.
No.
I mean, it doesn't bother. Well, actually, I can't really watch games with him
Yeah.
because he do too much. He's on every little play. He's jumping up saying something, and I'm like, you know what, man? Wow, you should probably watch the game in your room. I'll be down here in my cave.
So is he a teenager now?
No, he's grown. He's 23,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, he'll be 24 this year. So
So you can tell him like, hey, so you can go watch that game somewhere
get him up
else.
out of here, man. I ain't got time for all that. You're doing too much.
Well,
you see where you at. You pipe down. Because I took him to the game last year. We went the last time we played the Ravens with Lamar Jackson was here, and he went to that game with me. And I told him before then, I said, look, man, don't get to doing too much up here in this stadium. You could don't do too much. You know what I mean? But it was cool. It's cool.
nice.
I mean, I can't blame him. I mean, look how passionate I am about my home team.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
I can't knock him for being passionate about his.
Yep, I agree.
You know.
I hear you.
So, Allie, I was going to say, obviously we'd be remiss if we don't mention, we talked about what's going on in the world. Obviously you're living it on the radio. I'm in radio as well as my other gig. Tell me, what it was like. That had to be kind of surreal to be in Cleveland Saturday night. You were down there, I think you were with, among the protesters and stuff, and just kind of how you had to, what it's like to been experiencing this in those bigger cities, because obviously we are kind of removed from that scene for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go down. I didn't go down with the protesters. I didn't want to, but we had to broadcast when things were going down. You know what I mean? And we obviously, you can understand the frustration that we have over this, the way Black people have been treated in this country and these police shootings and killing. I mean, it's like we're just at the enough is enough point. It's not just about, obviously, rest in peace to George Floyd and anybody else who was ever victimized in the same circumstance, but it's about everything. It's like it's come to a head now, and it's like,
boiled over is what I think.
We gotta make it right this time. We can't. There's no more ignoring the underlying factor that is causing all of this in the first place. There's no more ignoring it. Everybody has to own up. We have to have the tough conversation. Everybody has to be real and honest about where they stand. They got to be honest about the policies that have been in place since the slavery days that are still in the Constitution. And things need to change immediately from the top down, from the what they say are the values of this country. It just has to be rewritten because they were written by slave masters. And so it's time to change the language of the Constitution, because that's the only thing that's going to, help things improve in the future. And it's just some archaic ideas in there that have to come out. And first, starting right now, what could be immediate is just, if we know that this guy had 18 counts of complaints,
that's what I said.
Plenty of officers all over the country that have just as many as him. And let's just go pull them all. You know what I'm saying? If you've had incidents like him in the past, I think if you're a racist, that should be grounds for dismissal. You shouldn't be able to wear a badge and say that you protect and serve because you're a racist and a bigot. You don't care about all people. So how can you protect and serve all people if you don't care about them?
And to your point, Haz, I also think I respect the badge and police officers, but I also think they are to a higher level. Like when you take that oath, you're not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to look at every person and protect them equally, right?
Yeah. And I think racists have the inability to do that. So if you can't do that, then you can't wear a badge. You shouldn't be given one. You shouldn't be given that authority. You shouldn't be able to walk amongst the people.
Well, and here's what I think is most unfortunate. there's a few bad apples out there everywhere, and because of those few bad apples, they make it they spoil the for everyone else, and that's unfortunate.
Well, I don't know about you, but if there's rotten apples, I throw them out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If I got any rotten apples in my
Yeah.
bunch, I get
There's
them out of
one
there.
in the bunch, I'm getting rid of it. And here's
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
keep rotten apples around. Well, who does that?
But, and to your point, has when I heard about the 18 complaints, my first thing was like, if I had 3 complaints of me at my job, I'm fired.
Right.
Right? You're fired if you screw up on the radio 3 times, one time, maybe 2, 18 times. What?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like that just is absurd to me. Like at that point, you're just that.
How many times I've been fired from a job before I got in the radio? I mean,
Right.
fired for the least of things, like you were 2 minutes late. You got to go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This man is,
here's my
acts.
right. It's absolutely egregious, and we appreciate you sharing your perspective on this, because my philosophy is, you know what, your actions should speak so loudly that I can't hear what you say. Your words shouldn't matter as long as your actions are supporting that. And I say that in terms of all that's going on in the country, because in my eyes, silence is violence, and we're not going to stand for that. And here at the Here We Go Brownies podcast, you have our full support. We've got a platform here, and I want to make that known.
I appreciate it. And I mean, nobody wants to see cities get torn up and burned, but I mean, and we hate to have to go downtown now and see all of the nice spots that we like to kick it at torn up. Nobody really wants to see that, but it's like we tried the peaceful demonstrations, we've tried everything else, even though they're saying these right-wing people are coming in, causing the vandalism and everything like that. We still got to deal with the raw emotion, the underlying problem that still exists. And so,
well, as I say, it was George Floyd's brothers had some really good words to say yesterday. I thought that was really nice what he had to say. Yeah. I think he had the right message and he was on the right tone. Like, you know what? Vote. make those systematic changes, like you said, from the top down, from the Constitution to the right. That's the only way these are going to be solved, is from the local level all the way to the top, right? And it has to change now, or it's just going to be a repeat cycle, and it's going to happen again. Maybe not tomorrow or the next day, but another 5 years down the road, we'll be down, the same thing again. So,
and those officers need to be prosecuted. They got to be prosecuted. So that's the start for this right now in the immediate. That has to happen. So
No.
What I'd love to see right now is the positivity that we have in our comment section. I've got my computer pulled up, and guys, I want to reiterate, if you have any questions that you want answered live on the show by us or by DJ HazMatt here, send those in now so we can answer those live on the program. Unfortunately, we've got a lot going on in the country, but one thing about sports is it's a great unifier. Of course, at the Here We Go Brownies podcast, as I always mention, we are not insensitive to what is happening. However, we hope to be somewhat of a distraction, to be able during these negative times to come together and talk about our beloved Browns and kind of come together and talk sports for a little while. So with that, I want to ask you, we made a ton of moves this offseason with the Browns.
Yes, we did.
Andrew Berry's coming in here. Andrew Berry's coming on in. He's making money moves over here. Yeah. What are your initial thoughts on what they did in free agency and what they did in the draft?
I mean, I love everything. I just don't want to get too ahead of myself like we did last year. You know what I'm saying? We were short-sighted in thinking that, Freddie Kitchens could do the job. You know what I mean? So, a lot of knee-jerk reactions have happened in firing coaches over the years. I didn't agree with all of them, you know what I mean? But I feel like, the plan that Barry and them put in place years ago before he left and came back is now,
that's what I was gonna say, yeah.
It's now time to start winning, because, they did the sacrifice, and we went through the 0-16 and the 1-31. We got the top draft picks. We got all of this talent on the team, and now we have what we think is a competent coach. So I'm excited. I'm just not about to step out there and because I'd rather us kind of stay under the radar this time and not people like everybody. I didn't like the fact that a lot of people were jumping on the bandwagon. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Don't try to come over here now.
Well, I was to say,
now you think we're gonna win? Get out of here. There's no room left on this bandwagon for nobody, because people who try to jump on the Cleveland bandwagon, I'm like, really?
Seriously?
Really? You? I remember the things you've said in the past. You got to, you out of here. Nobody, you know.
Well, and here's the thing. One of the things that I saw has this off season is they said, what's going to be your surprise team? And they said, what's the team that's underhyped this year, and what's the team that's overhyped? Mm-hmm. And a lot of these commentators have said, well, the Browns are actually kind of underhyped, which is probably a good place for them to be. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are last year's Browns. Everybody has them already in the playoffs, and they may be that 6-10 or 7-9 team, right? So
the Cardinals even.
Yeah. Don't worry about us over here. We're just putting together a monster squad, and we just gonna come out and kick some. I don't know if I can say all of the words. I don't know.
You can't
kick some ass. That's what I'm saying. Let's go. I mean, how can we not? I mean, look at what we have. It'd be like it. The only thing that could stop this team from winning is Freddie Kitchens. You know?
Well, and I will say, so my unique situation, I was married, divorced, and my I don't even think Allie even knows the story, but my my nieces and nephews are Vikings fans, and so they were so they're like, yeah, so they feel my pain, right? They've been to 4 Super Bowls, somewhat, never won one, right? And they were like, you know what? You might have just gotten this right. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, he's a really good offensive coordinator, and I don't think we're going to be as good as we were last year. And then I said, okay, I always get hyped up, like, oh, it's the next greatest thing. And people at work always make fun of me, like, oh, you think they're going to go to the Super Bowl this year, or you think they're going to be great every year? And I said, you're right. So I'm going to like have your kind of underhype opinion of them this year. Mm-hmm. And what I thought about is like with jobs, right? Like we talked about this. You've been in 20 years, right?
Yes.
He has been with the Vikings for 15 years. You do not keep someone in your organization if they're not valuable, right? If you don't if you're a new head coach and you come in, you have a list. I want him to stay. He can stay. He can stay. But they get the road if they're not part of your culture and you don't think he's valuable to his team. And the fact that he's worked his way all the way to the top, I think that could be. We finally just got maybe just some dumb luck here and got lucky, and this guy is going to be the real deal. You know what I mean? Like, and to Allie's point, we talk about this at nauseum. We don't keep coaches long enough, and we don't got any kind of continuity, or in Allie's words, alignment.
I was just going to say, Justin, what's my word? I overuse the word alignment, but I think it's critical for the success of the Cleveland Browns. And for the first time in what I think in the history of my Browns fandom, you have that alignment with the front office, the ownership, the coaching staff, and the players.
Speak on it, Allie.
I tell you, Allie is short for alignment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. With this roster, it just doesn't. It didn't make sense last year that we couldn't win. So people are now kind of like not looking at us as like, hey, we have the same team, kind of improved. So
right.
I don't know what y'all looking at, but please don't worry about us. We just gonna go out here and do what we do. We're gonna start off
offense this time. A strategic offense.
Yes, run the ball. He's gonna run the ball, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
And we have a fullback to protect that run the ball.
I love the fullback.
And I have some friends that were a couple friends that are Minnesota Vikings fans. One of them lives in Baltimore, and I talked to him maybe a week ago, and I was asking him about Kevin Stefanski. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's the cool dude, the little suave, smooth talking. He good. Like he had a whole lot of good things to say about him, and so I haven't heard anything negative about Kevin Stefanski, and he seems like a grown up." Because here's the thing that bothered me about Freddie Kitchens last year. I was just like, people were so happy to get rid of Hugh that they was just like, yes, Freddie Kitchens. But when they said, Freddie, what's the first thing you're gonna say to Odell? Freddie was like, I love you.
I'm gonna give you a hug.
He said, I love you.
I'm gonna give you.
Like, oh no. The players are never gonna respect him, especially not Odell.
Right.
So it's like nobody respected him. I remember that clip that they had when Baker Mayfield called him an idiot. I don't know if y'all saw that.
I saw that. He goes, that guy's crazy. That guy's an idiot.
He's an idiot, right? It's like, who talks about their coach that way and still respects them at the same time?
Funny story has there's a guy here in town that owns an ice cream store, and he's from Ohio, and he's a Browns fan. And that's how we kind of connected. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I was meeting with him as a client. And I said, so what do you think of Kevin Stefanski? And he goes, well, you know how I am, Dustin. Body of work, got to see him. He goes, all I know is my wife, though, when she saw him, was like, hey, he looks like a lot better. He looks a lot better to look at on Sundays now than the rest of your coaches did. And I was like, that's funny.
That's what's going to win us some games. His looks, his George Clooney-esque. Gonna get us to the Super Bowl.
The cool thing about it is,
go. Sorry. I got my sound effects ready for y'all.
You kind of prepared me for that one. The thing with Kevin Stefanski is, and I know we talk about this ad nauseum, is he comes from that Kyle Shanahan school of coaching, pretty much. He comes from Gary Kubiak, that wide zone offense. So with that, I'm going to ask you, who are you looking forward to watching the most in this offensive scheme going into the 2020 season? Because it's wildly different than what we saw under Freddie Kitchens.
Nick Chubb.
I love it.
And Kareem Hunt. I'm ready to see Mack and Biner over again. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I feel like we could have that type of a monster backfield. And I like that when we just got a running game that you just can't stop no matter what. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we used to miss, and that I used to be kind of envious of what like the Pittsburgh Steelers teams had in the 90s. Is like, when they decide that they're gonna put their foot on your neck, that's just what they did.
Yeah,
and
they push their will on you. Yeah,
impose your will. And I feel like we're gonna have a team that can impose their will when we need to get that first down, no problem. You know what I mean? And when we have the game at hand and we need to just run it out, we'll have the ability to do that. And this, to me, that demoralizes teams' defenses, and we need to be the bullies. We're the Browns.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're not flashy. We don't play in a dome. It's not about Baker throwing the ball 50 times. Hand that thing off, Baker. You still going to get the accolades. It doesn't have to be about how many touchdown passes you throw. Just hand that ball off and get us to the Super Bowl and get it, Trent,
I don't think Odell will be frowning if we're in the playoffs. He'll be happy to be on a playoff team.
Plus, Odell, come on, man. He's going to have a lot of bombs. I still think the passing game is going to be much improved.
Oh yeah,
because of the running game and how he'll be able to work off of the play action. You know.
Well, we talked about Ali. With having someone like Kareem Hunt and Chubb in the backfield, Kareem could be a starter on any other football team, right? So you have two number one starters in the backfield, and you rotate those guys in and out. You're gonna just
they were using Kareem like
fullback last
Duke
year.
Johnson last year or something. I was like, what are you doing? Like he can do the same thing Nick Chubb can do. Give him the ball too.
Leading rusher in 2018, 2017. He was the leading rusher. The NFL.
You have two monsters in the back.
Elite, yes.
Let's go.
This is the AFC North. That's what this division does. It's ground and pound football. Go ahead.
Since you said AFC North, this is something that I don't know if I can get a petition going or whatever, but I really think that Baltimore should be moved out of this division. At least that would save me the turmoil with my family. Like, get them back to the AFC East where they were when they were the Colts. You know what I'm saying?
That's
it doesn't
true.
make sense that they're in the North. They should take them out of the North, take Miami out of the East, put them in the South, and give us Indianapolis.
Oh, that makes a whole lot of sense.
He fixed it. He solved it. He solved the equation.
It only makes sense.
You know what? The Colts should be in our division. That's actually a valid point.
Yeah, I mean, they're not in the South.
No.
They're right there in Indianapolis. I can get to them. What are they, like 4.5, 5 hours away from me?
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, they're all right there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Buffalo is close to us, but they can stay in the East. We don't need to play, but we play them every year anyway because we were always in last place. But
they're good now, though. They're good now.
Hey, but we beat them.
Right.
We beat them last year.
I will tell you, I told people I was very torn when it came to the NFL draft because I'm out here in Idaho. So we have a lot of Mountain West football. And of course, we all know Josh Allen came from the University of Wyoming. So I got to see him twice every year up front. I'm like, that guy is going to be good, but he's kind of like a rough diamond. And if you notice, he's gotten better and better, but he's like Big Ben. He's huge, right? He's big, lanky quarterback, and he can take a hit.
To me, he's like, I don't mean no disrespect, he's like a white version of Cam Newton.
Oh.
Really good way to put that.
That is,
You know what I'm saying? He's as big as Cam Newton. He can run like Cam Newton.
Yeah.
And he's got a rocket for an arm. He just needs to have it. He needs to get it tamed.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He's not all that accurate all the time.
Yep.
But to me, he's like him mostly. You know what I'm saying? Because of his running ability. Big Ben can stand in the pocket, but he couldn't scramble or run or nothing. he was tough to bring down, but he couldn't take off like Josh Allen could.
So, Allie, do we got any questions for her?
I was just going to say, before we dive in, I've got 2 questions here in the comment section that they want to ask you. But before we get into that, I am a huge NFL draft nerd. Like, I can't stop with the NFL draft. I'm already on to the 2021 NFL draft. But I want to ask you, what was your favorite draft pick by Andrew Berry in the 2020 NFL draft?
Oh, man. I actually like Delpit because we need somebody to shore up the secondary, and he's from LSU, and them guys can ball, and I just think he's gonna help improve our secondary because we were a little weak on the back end last year. You know what I'm saying? So we needed some help there. Of course, all of the improving the line. I'm not sure what this tight end that he's bringing in is gonna do, but because I haven't seen much film on him. But yeah, the Delpit pick, I just think they picking from those caliber of schools. It's like a lot of times we had GMs that try to outsmart everybody and just like, oh, I'm gonna find somebody from Wildebeest College, and like, no, can we go with the proven players and get those type of guys on our team? So we're finally getting guys from those excellent schools on our squad, and I just think it's going to help us improve.
With that, I will tell you this. So Batonio came out of University of Nevada, Reno, out here in the Mountain West, and he's a solid offensive lineman. So they do find some diamonds in the rough in those.
I'm not saying you can't, but when you're talking about but come on, Idaho, they breeding those type of guys out there. Yeah. They out there they're just strong for no reason from that area. You know what I mean? So
we had Boise State had 2 players go in the draft. Allie and I talked about that this year. Yeah, Curtis Weaver, and Cleveland, no less. The offensive lineman named Cleveland out of Boise State went in the draft. So
yeah, absolutely.
I don't doubt that.
Real quick, we're gonna dive in. I know you're busy over there, so we won't take up too much of your time. I've got a couple questions in the comments from our live listeners that we want to ask. Our first comes from our good buddy Josh Corbett. Now he's actually in the UK. He is
Josh,
our friend of the program. Josh, he is in Wales, in the UK. He just started up his own Browns backer club out there.
Because I dared him.
You dared him. So he's a great friend of the program. He asks you, from your perspective, he's obviously never been to a Cleveland game. He's never been to the United States, but he wants to know, being a season ticket holder, what is one of your most, your fondest or best memory in the Dog Pound?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. When I had my son, who's now 10, I have a 10-year-old son. But the year that we went 1-15, we were there for that one win.
Oh wow!
Right.
And I had my son with me. He sat out there with me in the cold. He was still missing his front teeth. And I have this classic video of him when we won. He was like, "That's your Christmas present, people." You know what I'm saying? And it was so hilarious. Like, we watched that video. Sometimes we just pull it up just to laugh. And I mean, even though it was a tough season, just, being out there with him, and he still enjoyed that day, and we got the win.
And I believe that was against the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
And they missed the field goal, right?
Yep.
Christmas Eve, right? It was Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Yep. That was a Christmas miracle because we were 0-15 up to that.
Yeah. So winning that game was just like,
you don't want to go undefeated, and what did we get the following season? Oh my gosh!
We got Myles Garrett.
That's true. That's a good way to put it.
Myles Garrett. Anytime we talk about the seasons, I'm going to talk about the player that it netted us. Okay?
Yes. I love Myles Garrett. New Jersey came today, so I can't. I love Myles Garrett.
0-16 got us Baker Mayfield. Okay.
He's the best. Another good question here, and I hate to do this to you. I really do, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. Our good friend Jason, he says, "Hey, what's your early prediction for the Browns record this year?" And I hate to get into that game, but I've got to ask you. Our good friend Jason Todd says, "Hey, what do you think our record's going to be, and can we win the division?"
I think we can win the division I hear people talking about Pittsburgh's going to be back just because Ben Roethlisberger's back. I don't know what shape Ben's going to be in when he come out here and his arm, if it's going to be the same.
Well, he's got a great off-season training. I'm kidding.
Who cares? I hope he doesn't. I hope he's not the same. How about that? So now we're talking about dealing with the Ravens. I don't believe that Cincinnati's going to do anything with a rookie quarterback there this season. I mean, I'm sure they'll win a few games, but I just think, I'm looking at double-digit wins. I'm looking for double-digit wins. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see why a team this talented with good coaching and making smart decisions on the field can't win the majority of their games. So I'm looking for at least 10 wins this season.
Well, I want
more.
Yeah, but you can look to that last year, and I know Allie can as well. I can look at the Seahawks game. I can look at several games and go, if you would have done just a couple things different in this football game, there's 3 or 4 more wins on the schedule last year.
Yeah, we're still as talented, if not, and more talented than we were last year. So,
right.
And everybody was on the bandwagon last year.
Right.
So nothing has changed as far as the talent. So except it's gotten better, and now it'll be better coached. So what they thought we would do last year is what they should do this year. So yes, I think we can win the division. We better win the daggone division.
Well,
there we go.
I said 11-5. Allie said 10-6. I think it'll be interesting. I'm going to try to go out to the XL Cowboys game.
I already bought my plane ticket.
Are you going?
I got my plane ticket. I haven't bought the game ticket yet. If you got a hook plug, let me know.
Well, so here's the thing. If you look at the roster for the Cowboys, there's a bunch of Boise State players on that roster. So I might have the hookup. So we will definitely have to talk about that. So
I'll be in communication
with you. And I don't know if you know this, but the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys is the former Boise State quarterback, Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember Kellen Moore.
Also,
I didn't work out for Kellen Moore in the NFL. How come he couldn't be a starter?
So I watched him firsthand 4 years here at Boise State. By the way, he's the winningest quarterback of all time in college football, which is phenomenal when you think about that. Any player to do that.
Right.
So he's got all the smarts and intangibles as a quarterback. He's only like 6'1", but he's not fast. He's got Bernie Kosar legs. Let's just call it what it is. So, but he doesn't have the size. He just doesn't have that size. But he's smart as heck. Because you notice when he got in a football game, he could run an offense. He could do all that. He just doesn't have the size for an NFL quarterback. That's why he kind of ended up being a backup. But he is smart as you can get. He is a smart kid. Not young adult.
Let's just hope he has a few blips that day. When he plays us, he'll slip up and make a bad call or two when he playing against the good old Browns. But I'm just trying to Jerry's world. It's like a bucket list.
He's idolized here, and I think the world of him. So he's on every local TV commercial here, right? For car dealers and all that, because we've joked about it. If he's not a head coach in the National Football League, we could see him coming back to be the head coach at Boise State someday. I mean, he's that smart of a guy. So
that's what's up.
Well, this was great. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to get you out of here with one more question. We'll get you out of here on this. I appreciate your time.
I ain't in no hurry. I'm at home. I'm in my cave. I'm good.
Get out of here on this one. And this isn't necessarily a Browns question, but we're in the AFC North, and I know you've got some connections there in Baltimore. We've got a good friend of the program. He's asking, what do you see for Lamar Jackson this year? Is his talent, now I'm going to rephrase this because his talent is certainly sustainable. He's incredibly talented, but is his style of play sustainable?
As long as he don't get hit.
No, that's true. Yeah.
It's sustainable until somebody rocks him.
Yeah.
If somebody rocks him and injures him, then no. But he seems to be strong. He's got a pretty thick neck.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I hate that he plays for Baltimore. I kind of wanted Lamar Jackson on the team. He was a guy that I would have hoped the Browns would have drafted. I mean, before we went with Baker Mayfield in the direction we went in, I was like, get Saquon Barkley and Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying? I was like, get him at number 1 and Lamar at number 4. So I wanted him on the team. but why did they have to get him?
I know. Anybody else, right?
Well,
because he's gonna be tough to deal with, but I
yeah.
think we can deal with him. We dealt with him once last year. We can deal with him again.
Right.
You know
So to your point, Has, I mean, if you think about it, RG3 was reckless in the NFL until he got hurt, right? Like he was, I believe, rookie of the year. He went to the Pro Bowl, and then he got hit in the knee, and that was that was it. Yeah. So I mean, you're right. As long as he stays healthy.
I don't wish that on Lamar Jackson.
No, so you're right. If he stays healthy,
I like the young man, and I think he's good for the NFL. He's entertaining, and it's gonna make for a great rivalry against us as long as we win. And I think he'll continue to do great things in the NFL. And because of my partial love for that area, I'm not gonna condemn Lamar Jackson. Okay.
There you go.
I think he'll be all right.
No, he'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, this was great. This was a lot of fun, and we sincerely appreciate your time and all that you did here for the Here We Go Brownies podcast. How can our listeners follow you? How can they follow you on the socials?
On IG, I'm Hey Haz, HEY. Everything is Hey Haz, HEYHAZ, because that's my little Hey Haz, my little thing I hit when I'm on the radio. So it's Hey Haz TV for YouTube, okay, and it's Hey Haz for Facebook and Twitter. But you got to add a number 1 to the end of it to get me on IG. Okay.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Go follow him. He's the best. And you can go listen to him over on WZAK Cleveland. He is DJ HazMatt. He's the man, the myth, the legend. He's the best. And we sincerely appreciate your time
and
here.
Haz, we'd love to have you back on again for sure. You're great.
Hit me up. I'll come back whenever y'all want me to.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate the positivity. This is great. This is a lot of fun for us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, you take care. You stay safe out there. You stay healthy. And if there's anything we can do here at the Here We Go Brownies podcast, you let us know. We loved having you on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You guys take care.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. Thank you. All right. I'm going to hit. All right, Dustin, we're still on here and we're still live. Awesome stuff out of DJ HazMatt.
He was awesome. I like that.
What a positive guy.
He came at us with sound effects. I didn't know that. Like he was like throwing. He scared you out of your chair. I like that.
I know. He hit that button. I about jumped through the window.
We like when Allie's a little off. We like to keep her on her toes over there.
This is good stuff. What a fun interview with him. Not to get away with all this going on in the world, but a lot of positivity radiating from that guy. He was a great Browns fan.
Oh, yeah.
He's good at what he does. You guys need to go check him out. He's got some cool videos out there. So go follow him. Go give him a listen. And thank you guys to our listeners there in the comments dropping those questions. Great questions to send over to our good buddy there at Haz. Yeah. Dustin, what else you got here? Any closing thoughts before we jump off?
I was just going to say, Allie and I offline, we'll submit the question for next week for our show for what we want to give away and what that content will be. It's been kind of a crazy week with everything going on in the world. We want to keep everything positive and have everybody have a great week. And, obviously we want people to, just be happy. And I think Haz brought a lot of energy. I love that he wanted to keep it on the Browns and be positive. And I thought that was, and I think when we started the show tonight, Allie, you were like, we might have a somber show, but for the most part, it was a lot of fun. But at the same time, we can't forget what's happening in our nation. So I just want to, for everybody that's out there, stay safe. We know people all across this country watch our show. We know people across the pond watch our show. We know these are unique and times that we're living in. And we just know that we want you to be safe and enjoy your family, stick close to your friends and just, be unified as Americans, I guess is the best thing I can say. We're one United States of America. And I think we'll be a stronger and better nation to Haz's point if we have some fundamental changes made and some things that can actually have some real resounding effects on this country and actually finally kind of rip the Band-Aid off, as one might say, and, and make sure things are done. But Allie, as always, sometimes we know where our shows are going, sometimes we don't, but they're a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun this week, and I think we're coming up right on an hour for the show.
Absolutely, we are. This is closing time at the Here We Go Brownies podcast. Those who have stayed with us this far, thank you. Those who are new to our show, thank you for joining. We've got lots of good stuff coming in the coming weeks. So please be sure to follow. Go ahead, Dustin.
I got one thing, Allie. So obviously we had Haz on tonight. If you guys have any connections in the industry to anybody, we're pretty open to interviewing people. You can see we brought Haz on. If you know somebody or have connections, we would love to have them on. So if you think it'd be a great interview, we'd love to have them on. Like I said, we are a show by the fans for the fans. So whatever you guys can do. So drop Allie or I a line if you know anybody that you think would be a great interview, or if you're like, hey, I know so-and-so, let me see if I can get them on, and we'll give you a shout out for that and give you a plug for that as well. So.
Absolutely. We've got prizes, guys. You gotta interact with us. We love our friends of the program. We love our listeners, guys. We sincerely appreciate you. We wish you well. We're sending positivity and prayers your way. So stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, Dustin, go Browns.
Go Browns.
See you guys next week.